The Soundcore Space Q45 have arrived, packing a long list of features including multi-point connectivity, LDAC support, along with big battery life. I'll also be comparing them to some of the latest flagship headphones to see how they stack up against some of the very best on the market. So now, let's just jump straight into it. So first, let's see what comes in the box. So here we have the standard Soundcore box, Space Q45, with the branding, high-res audio wireless, high-res audio, adaptive ANC, up to 98% reduction, 50 hours worth of playback time. So the usual marketing jargon right on the box. Let's go ahead and crack this thing open. All right, so you can see here we do get a hard shell carrying case. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Now this is where you get your usual books and stuff. So get that out of the way. Probably your quick start guide, nothing too spectacular there. So there's the case itself. You can see, nice travel case. Let's go ahead and pop this guy open. There we are. And here we have the headphones themselves, Space Q45. So as you can see the headphones there, we've also got the cables here. So this is our 3.5 millimeter auxiliary cable. I don't know, the quality on this cable is a little sus for Soundcore's standards. I mean, come on. You guys literally make anchor cables. I think we could have done a little bit better with this auxiliary cable that we included in the package here. Just saying. Just saying. So we've got that here, and then we've also got the Anchor USB-C to USB-A for charging. So you got that one there, standard Soundcore quality there. Headphones themselves, and it looks like we've got a little plastic tray in here. So overall, not bad. So here we have the headphones themselves. So that's pretty much it. As you can see here, Soundcore Space A40. Obviously, I've got these in the black. They will be available in two other colors. I believe a navy blue is coming along with a white version. So I don't believe that they're available right now, but they will be coming some point soon. So check that out. So let's get into what else is going on with these headphones. So first up, let's start with the connectivity of the Soundcore Space Q45. So they are featuring Bluetooth 5.3 with SBC, AAC, and LDAC as their connection codecs. Now that's going to make them perfectly compatible with both Android and iOS devices in my testing. And then as you can see here, we also have a 3.5 millimeter headphone port on the right ear cup for listening via the included auxiliary cable. Now, listening via aux cable can only be done while these headphones are powered on. Sadly, there is no way to do any sort of passive listening with these Space Q45s. I tried listening passively on the headphones, but the headphones themselves would automatically power themselves on after about 10 or 15 seconds. So that is some feedback that I'm sending over to Soundcore to see if we can go ahead and enable true passive listening with these headphones. Now, sadly, we were probably going to see a reduction in sound quality using them passively, but still, let's not take away a basic functionality of a headphone with a 3.5 millimeter port. That's just my opinion. Now, when it comes to Bluetooth range, I have managed to get right about 42 feet or 12.8 meters in my testing. And obviously that was done on the AAC codec. If you do run them on LDAC, you will lose a little bit of that Bluetooth range. So something to keep in mind. Now, I was able to put 2 to 3 walls in between the headphones and the phone that they were connected to before I started hearing any dropouts. So overall, the connectivity has been rock solid with the Space Q45. Now, another feature that the Space Q45 offer is multi-point connectivity, and this is good for up to 2 devices. Now, I tested this by pairing them to a bunch of different devices, including my iPhone, my Mac Mini, my Galaxy S22 Ultra, and my Windows PC, and the multi-point function worked perfectly as expected. But to be clear, you cannot use LDAC at the same time as multi-point. It's just a function that is not available on these at this time, but if you're on AAC or SBC, multi-point works perfectly. Now, let's move over to latency or lag when watching video. So there is minimal latency to be experienced here on Android, iOS, on macOS, or on Windows. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well they performed. Now, mobile gaming was also a good experience. I did play a few rounds of Call of Duty Mobile, and the latency was there, but not enough to be a distraction for a casual player like myself. But if you are a competitive gamer and latency bothers you, then I would definitely go ahead and start using that auxiliary cable so that you can have a completely lag-free experience with the Space Q45 if you want to use them for competitive mobile gaming. But overall, a good experience when it comes to that connection quality. So now let's move over to the build quality and the comfort of the Space Q45s. Now, the build quality here is exactly what I expect from Soundcore and is on par with the build and materials that you see on the Sony XM5, Bose QC45, or even the Sennheiser Momentum 4. It's a lightweight classic aluminum construction with aluminum alloy hinges and a seamless sliding design for adjustment. So pretty sweet if you see that. You know, it's nice. Yeah, adjust nice and easily, so no issues there whatsoever. Now, these are not quite as light as the XM5, but nowhere near as heavy as something like the AirPods Max, for instance. So nothing along those lines. Now, when it comes to comfort, the Q45 are using deeper ear pads than what we saw with the Q30 and Q35. So let me show you a quick close-up here so you can see those ear cups for yourself. So they got quite a bit of depth to them this time. So it is something that's noticeably thicker and deeper, although the ear pad size itself overall is still the same size as what we got with the Q30 and Q35. So something to kind of keep in mind there, but they are more plush, they are more comfortable, and they wrap around my ears quite nicely. So kind of let me give you a quick look at kind of what that looks like on my head. So let's expand that out. You can take a quick look here, but just like that. So they do totally enclose my ears while I'm wearing them. Now, there is also some increased clamping force here, so some break-in might be required if you have a massive head like mine. Pause. Get your head out of the gutter. All right. But if you're unfamiliar with loosening up some headphones, all you got to do is find a box that's a bit wider than your own head and then just park the headphones on there whenever you take them off. After a few days to a few weeks, you'll notice that they are noticeably looser and you'll be good to go. But overall, the comfort on these headphones has been pretty good in my experience. The upgraded ear pads make long listening sessions quite easy. The grip on these is actually quite good, so they tend to stay nicely put when I'm out on my walks. But much like most other wireless headphones, the ear pads here are not very breathable, so they will get hot if you try to use these for sports or workouts. You will get a bit sweaty and moist under there, so be careful. You know, these just, a lot of wireless headphones are just not really built for workouts. You have to look elsewhere for workout specific headphones if that's what you're going to need them for. So now let's talk about the controls on these headphones. And with the Space Q45, they kept things simple. We're just using button controls here. So on the right side, we've got a button here that is a play pause, answer end calls, mute mic, and voice assistant. And then we have a volume rocker that also doubles as track control with a long press in either direction. So pretty straightforward. And then on the left ear cup here, we have a button for the power on and off, and long pressing that activates the pairing mode. And then you have a button for active noise cancellation, transparency, and normal modes, but this can also be modified to toggle the bass up feature via a double press, and you can activate that inside the Soundcore app. Now, these buttons are really tactile, they're very easy to locate, and responsive when you need them. And once you get the hang of which side does what, it actually becomes quite intuitive. So no touch controls on these. One of the things that the Space Q30 one of the things that the Life Q30 and Life Q35 offered was a touchpad for transparency mode. That has been removed on the Space Q45, so just something to keep in mind. You no longer have that option here. So now let's go ahead and talk about the app support here with the Soundcore app, and it is available for both iOS and Android devices. Now, if you want to take full advantage of these headphones, you definitely want to download this app. You don't have to do it, but it's highly recommended. So this is what it's going to look like when you're looking at your product list. You go ahead and click on Space Q45. This is what you're going to see as soon as you open it. So battery life, you're going to see the headphones themselves. Click in here into the settings. This is going to take you to the whole settings menu. This is a sound mode where you can select LDAC, wind noise reduction toggle, device list, and this is what's going to control your multi-point connectivity. So as you can see, I've got the S22 Ultra, i13 Pro Max, my desktop, my Mac Mini. So you got all this different stuff right here. So you have your prompt tone, so you can turn that on and off, auto power off, firmware updates, help, and a quick start guide. So you got all that stuff in the settings. Now back in here in the meat and potatoes of this app, you've got your ambient sound. So this is your transparency mode, and this is your custom transparency. This is something that I've been wanting to see for a long time. You can actually adjust the strength of the transparency mode on the Space Q45. I mean, this is something that I've been wanting to see here for a long time, and we finally have it, man. I'm so excited for this. So we've got that here. Then you've also got a talk mode, and the talk mode is going to lower the volume of whatever you're listening to, and it's going to enhance voices. So something to keep in mind, but both of them very useful. Now, backing out of here, you have your normal mode. That's everything turned off. Then you have your noise reduction. Noise reduction, once again, we have a strength control for the noise cancellation. And then you also have adaptive noise cancellation, which is going to listen to your surroundings, to like the ambient noise around you, and determine how strong the noise cancellation needs to be. So overall, very, very good options right there. Now here we have the safe volume, and what this is going to do is it's going to listen to the actual volume that's being output from the headphones in real time and let you know whether or not this is good for your ears or safe for your hearing health. And there's also a toggle for limiting high volume, so you can actually set a limit of how loud the headphones will go. So something to protect your hearing health. And then if you click in here, it'll actually give you some information about what's too loud for you and what can do permanent damage. So kudos to Soundcore for including that on their headphones. In here, we have the control customization. So press once, you can control your ambient sound modes, which you want it to control with a single tap on the noise cancellation button. Press twice, that's the bass on off toggle right there. Backing out of here, we have the EQ. So this is where you have the 22 EQ presets that Soundcore offers, all of which are customizable. In my personal opinion here, the acoustic is the best EQ for these. So that's my favorite one so far. And you have your own customizable here with this 8 or 9 band EQ, which you can mess with yourself if you so choose. So you've got those options. Now, when it comes to the app support here, Soundcore has really set a standard here for ease of use and understandability with an app. So definitely something to take advantage of if you want to get the most out of the Space Q45s. So now let's get into some of the performance of these headphones. And first, let's start with the battery life. Now, Soundcore was claiming up to 50 hours with noise cancellation turned on and 65 hours with noise cancellation turned off. These are some bold claims. Now, in my own actual testing with noise cancellation on, I managed to get 48 hours and 12 minutes on AAC and 43 hours and 44 minutes on LDAC. And with noise cancellation turned off, I managed to get 63 hours and 24 minutes on AAC and 57 hours and 31 minutes on LDAC. Now, fun fact, it took nearly 2 weeks to finish these battery tests. You're welcome. And in my personal opinion, this battery life is absolutely exceptional. Easily flagship beating for headphones that cost twice the price. Now, these headphones also charge via USB Type-C, so you can go ahead and plug them in via the included cable. So overall, very, very good and useful. They also feature a fast charge option. So if you do run these headphones down all the way, 5 minutes on a charger will give you 4 hours worth of playback time. And they also have that auto off feature that activates after 30 minutes to save power, and it can be adjusted or shut off if you don't want to use it, but it can help you conserve some power. If you have them on and you just take them off and you set them on your desk somewhere and you forget to shut them off, they will shut themselves off in order to preserve that battery life. So overall, seriously good battery performance here. So now let's move over to the transparency mode. Now, transparency mode here is surprisingly good. The custom transparency option, that slider, it gives you 5 levels so you can really dial in how much or how little external sound you want to hear. Now, I've been wanting something like this for a long while, so major kudos to Soundcore for making that happen, as I said before. Now, overall, it sounds less processed than before, so it's a welcome improvement over the Q30 and the Q35. There's also a talk mode option that lowers music volume and enhances voices, but please note that once you use that mode, you will not be able to adjust the volume at all. You'll have to jump out of that mode if you want to mess with the volume once again. But how do they compare for transparency versus the other flagship headphones? Let's drop a quick ranking here. So let's go top down one more time. And let's do it like this. So for transparency mode, number 1, in my personal opinion, is going to be the Apple AirPods Max. Like, these are absolutely natural sounding. It's almost spooky how good they are. Now, a major improvement, and in second place, we have the Sony XM5s. So that's going to come in second place. Third place, I'm going to give that to the Soundcore Space Q45. Fourth place, I'm going to give that to the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. And in fifth place, we've got the Soundcore Life Q35. As much as I like how well the Space Q45 performed here, both the XM5 and AirPods Max are noticeably more transparent and definitely deserve their top spots. They were able to best the Momentum 4 since they tend to sound slightly muffled in their own transparency mode. And I spoke about this in my review of the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. So now let's talk about that active noise cancellation. Now, Soundcore is touting improved noise cancellation on the Space Q45 by using a 4-mic hybrid active noise cancellation system that has been tested to reduce noise by up to 98%. Once again, we've got some bold claims. What I can say is that it is surprisingly strong and can compete with headphones at twice the price. I tested this by using 85 decibels of airliner cabin noise along with 75 decibels of crowd noise in this small enclosed room. Needless to say, it got loud AF in here. My relatives were wondering what the heck I was doing. Like, what is with all that noise coming out of that tiny room? So it got loud. There's some good testing going on in here. Now, the Space Q45 performed admirably in both of these tests by doing an excellent job at reducing most of the low and mid frequency noise, along with tamping down some of the higher frequencies. However, a few of the louder human voices in the crowd noise test did manage to slip past. But how do they compare to the top ANC headphones on the market? Let's go ahead and drop a quick ranking. So in first place, I'm going to give that to the Sony XM5s. Second place, we're going to give that to the Apple AirPods Max. In third place, we actually have a tie between the Sennheiser Momentum 4 and the Space Q45s. And in fifth place, we've got the Soundcore Life Q35s. The reason for the tie was that the Space Q45 were slightly stronger in the cabin noise test, while the Momentum 4 did a little bit better in the crowd noise test. Both were really evenly matched, but I had to give them a tie just because it was such a close matchup that it was really a toss-up on which one had the better ANC. So now let's move over to the sound quality. And all of my sound testing was performed using both Apple Music Lossless on AAC and Qobuz Hi-Res and LDAC, along with some locally stored FLAC and WAV files. Now, tuning on the headphones is exactly what I expected from Soundcore, which is their usual punchy bass with that laid-back treble. Thankfully, with a bit of EQ, these truly open up and can sound awesome. Now, my personal favorite preset for these is the acoustic EQ preset, but let's go ahead and break it down. Now, let's start with bass. The Q45 have a strong and punchy bass response, and there's also some good sub-bass rumble here. They are surprisingly versatile and respond to EQ very well, so you can increase or dial back the bass as needed for your own personal taste. Now, these can dig deep on tracks like Bamboo by E40 or hit quick and get out on songs like Nocturnal by The Midnight. So awesome bass response out of these guys. Now, when it comes to the mid-range is laid back out of the box, so I bumped it up a bit to open things up. There is noticeable mid-bass presence, but it isn't horrible if you're into that kind of a sound. It gives the music a lot of warmth. You get some good vocal performances here for both male and female voices. Listening to Have You Ever Seen the Rain by Creedence is a must if you want to hear what I'm hearing. But let's go ahead and get into the treble. And the treble starts off just okay, but definitely comes to life once you start EQing. The acoustic preset gives the treble a substantial boost, and the Q45 have a much more clear sound with solid instrument separation. The treble can get bright with metal and rock, but still rolls off early enough to not be sibilant or offensive. Listening to Disorder by System of a Down can help you hear exactly what I mean. But how do the Space Q45 stack up against the competition? So let's go ahead and do a quick sound quality ranking. Now for sound here, in first place, I'm going to give that to the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. In second place, I'm going to go ahead and give that to the Sony WH-1000XM5s. In third place, I'm going to give that to the Apple AirPods Max. In fourth place, I'm going to give that to the Soundcore Space Q45s. And in fifth place, I'm going to give that to the Soundcore Life Q35s. But that's how you have them stacked up. Literally and figuratively. Now, if I had to give Soundcore any sort of constructive criticism on the Soundcore Space Q45, firstly, no passive listening via the auxiliary cable. To me, that's kind of a major no-no, because if you're going to give us the ability to have an aux cable and a 3.5mm port, we should be able to have some passive listening going on here, especially for whatever reason you manage to run them down and you don't have the ability to charge them, then give us the ability to go ahead and use them passively in a worst case scenario. And then secondly, the lack of a Hear ID functionality on these headphones. To me, that's kind of surprising when it's their flagship headphone. Now, this is a feature that we're seeing on a lot of their earbuds, Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro, the all-new Space A40, the Liberty Air 2 Pro as well. So I would love to see Hear ID come to the headphone line. Like, that would be pretty awesome in my opinion. If they can't make it happen, okay, so be it. But I would really like to see something along those lines come into this headphone line. So now let's answer a question that I know is going to come up quite often, and that's, are the Space Q45s better than the Life Q35s? And the answer to that is yes. The sound quality is better controlled on the Q45. The ANC is stronger, the transparency mode is cleaner, and the battery life has definitely been increased. Not to mention the added capability of having fully adjustable noise cancellation and transparency modes. Now, that said, are the Space Q45s worth picking up? And this is a two-part answer. So if you own the Life Q30 or the Q35s, then the difference is not substantial enough to upgrade at this time, in my opinion. But if you don't own any Soundcore headphones, or if you're just looking to pick up a new set of wireless headphones and you don't really have anything on hand, then the answer is going to be yes. The Space Q45 are worth picking up, especially if you want flagship level performance at half the price. So definitely something to think about right now, especially if you want to take advantage of the early discounts. There will be some discount codes that I'll try to leave for you guys in the video description, but as always, those are time limited. So if you watch this video months or years after this video has dropped, that might be why those discount codes aren't working. So now let's go ahead and get into some microphone tests. Now I'm going to test all of these microphones back to back so you can hear exactly what they're going to sound like and see whether or not that's going to work for you. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Soundcore Space Q45. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I'm indoors once again in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so here we have the microphone test for the Soundcore Life Q35. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone quality test for the Sennheiser Momentum 4. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I'm indoors once again in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone sample for the Apple AirPods Max. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, I'm indoors once again in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, and here we have the microphone test for the Sony WH-1000XM5. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Soundcore Space Q45 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Soundcore Life Q35 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Sennheiser Momentum 4 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Apple AirPods Max in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Sony WH-1000XM5 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a busy bar, a crowded restaurant, or something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As always, you're going to have to be the judge of the microphone quality down in the comments section. Now, for full disclosure, Soundcore sent me the Space Q45 for testing and review. However, there was no monetary compensation involved, and Soundcore were not afforded any copy approval or early access to this video prior to it being published. Now, I'm telling you this because I believe in honesty and transparency with you as the viewer. As always, please be sure to watch multiple reviews before making that final purchase decision. Now, if you are interested in seeing my video on another dope set of noise-canceling headphones, check out this video that I'm going to leave for you right up here on the screen. With that said, my name is JEFE, and I'm out this bitch.